good things come to a close, but before we bring on Gary, I do want to mention that the Worcester Tea Party is a grassroots volunteer organization. And as much as I would like to have my own gold mine or oil wells or such, the only thing that funds the Worcester Tea Party is your donations to the fishbowl here. Now, you're going to say, well, Matt, what are you planning on doing? Well, the presentation that I did not make is that we are going to fight the millionaire's tax. Now, I want you to understand that if you go to the page, you will find some 200 some odd organizations, religious, cultural, political, who have all signed up, who said that they want the millionaire's tax. You will find out that they are well capitalized with over $1.5 million. You will find out that currently in the WBUR poll, they are enjoying an 80% approval rating amongst the voters in Massachusetts. So, let's see, we got $600 in the kitty, there's 1,200 members of the Worcester Tea Party, and people call me Nazi in front of my children. So I think it's not a fair fight for them, and I pity the reign of hell that we're going to bring upon them. So please, donate and think about how you can help us defeat the mass exodus tax. And with that, which is the last thing I'm going to say, I will bring on Gary, please.
A lot of great words spoken here. Certainly hope to be able to entertain you just for a few minutes. I won't take I'll take as little time as I can. I know that we're a little late. I'll start off by just saying that I was also at that rally. Right? I had something to do in Boston anyway, so I figured I'd go and I'd check it out. And I didn't find any Nazis. I looked, I was really looking. I wanted to see if I could find some. I couldn't find any. I saw a lot of socialists. I saw some fascists. I saw a lot of communists. I also saw a lot of people that had signs that said, freedom for everybody, or everyone needs representation. And they were walking around with t-shirts with Fidel Castro's picture on them. And I said, wow, this is really a problem here, that they don't really understand that. I'm going to touch on a lot of things that people have touched on. One thing I just want to throw out there is we look at the political spectrum, and we say there's conservatives, there's Democrats, there's a left, there's a right. All right? Now, we would say that that's a line that you would draw. If I had a pen, I would draw a line like this, right across this plate. Okay? So we got the left and the right. That's what we have. But what I'm going to tell you is that you don't have a left and a right. What you really have is not a line that goes across, but a circle with a line through the middle. And what that line through the middle represents is your traditional left and right. Okay? And everybody, let's say, on the bottom half of the pie, all right? These are your Republicans, your Democrats, Tea Party people, libertarians, you name it, all right? But these are your more mainstream. Somebody was talking, and you were talking about somebody helping you on the train. That was a nice guy, but yet he was probably a socialist or a fascist or something like that.
Maybe a Nazi.
Could have been. You never know. But what happens is when you go to either end of this, we always say that's where the extreme is. Where the extreme really lives is above, because it's not a line, it's a circle. So what happens is if you keep going and going and going and going on one side, you come way up here. And if you keep going and going and going to the other side, you come way up here. And that's why when you go to these rallies, you see Nazis, socialists, fascists, everybody with one goal. They all have the same goal. What they're fighting about is who gets to control it. That's the key to what we're seeing in all these protests and all this stuff. So it's not that it's the right wing or the even left wing, because within those, they only go so far. So you can't just keep going left and just go. You can't just keep going right and just keep going. You'll always come back to a point of total control or a point of libertarianism. Okay? That's where you're going to come to. Those are the poles. These are the poles. To me, that's how I see the political spectrum. So I think it's fantastic And I did write, so I wouldn't go on for too long. Because, you know, I usually have all the time I want when I talk, right? So I thought about this. And I appreciate being here immensely. I appreciate everybody that is here and you know, the Worcester Tea Party, everybody that came out, it really is it's a great event. It's a great thing to do. I was asked to speak and I thought long and hard about what do I want to talk about. And then it came to me. What I really wanted to talk about was what I'm going to kick my show off with, the Freedom Network, when we come back after after a little break during the summer, was the double standard in politics, which we talk about a lot, party loyalty that's absolutely destroying this country, and our distance from intent as to what America was supposed to be, designed to be, and what it actually really is. And then, as a result of all these things, kind of where are we today? So, these things kept coming back up to me. They always come up to me. I talk about them as people that have seen the show, and maybe y'all will at some point. Talked about them on Chris's show, talked about them with you on programs and privately. I speak my mind. I don't fit in a box. There is no box for Gary, all right? I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a conservative, I'm not a liberal, I'm a constitutionalist. If I want to put me in any box, put me in that box. And what that means is when I talk politics, I piss off all kinds of people, all right? Depending upon the topic, you love me and then you hate me, and you love me and then you hate me. And the reason is because so many people are in these boxes and many people don't even know that they're in the box. And that's the problem, in my opinion. So when I talk politics, it's always a roll of the dice. Am I going to agree? Am I going to disagree? Is he going to agree with me? Is he going to disagree? The thing that I always say is that we have to have the conversation. The conversation has to exist. So that's why I wanted to talk to you today. I wanted to talk to you today to aggravate the hell out of you. No, I wanted to talk to you today because I wanted to bring up that we all need the ability to look in the mirror. Regardless of what we think is right, you got to challenge yourself at every corner, especially politically, because you don't know when you're being fed information. You gave a very nice dissertation about a lot of things that are absolutely nuts in this country. We'll touch on a few of them. So I started thinking about double standards. You know, for years we talked about Obama. For years, I did it. I built a, like Chris did, we built a profession practically on this guy's presidency, right? Groups of people that oppose his every move, and then there were others that would agree with his every move. So, like, it didn't matter if he was right or wrong. That was irrelevant because the gauge to judge, that by seems to float. And it seems to float around all the time in politics. All politics floats. Our opinions actually will change depending upon the box we're in. Because we're supposed to think a certain way if we're in a certain box. And this is where the real debate seems to come from. So the same thing happens with Trump. It does happen with Trump, right? Now I'm thrilled that Hillary is not the president. But at the same time, the exact exceptions, the exact same following, we talked about it on the program, it just changes sides of the field. So, like I said, I'm happy that Hillary isn't there, she's awful, but what's left, you know, it seems a little odd to me. I've been following politics since I got out of high school. I started doing a radio show when I was 18 years old, and people, you know, really were like, who's this guy? I mean, I was 18 years old, it was 1990. So we were in the era of big changes coming, and it didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. The politics just didn't seem right. My father was very into politics. My grandfather was very into politics. Polar opposites, which gave me a good feel for both sides. Think about it for a minute, right? I call myself out on this as well because I do the same thing. We all do it. But let's really look in the mirror tonight. Let's challenge ourselves, okay? Unemployment numbers. In the Obama days, books are cooked, the numbers are fake, the method we used doesn't account for fill in the blank. What about the number that are out of the workforce? These were real issues. I talked about them on my program. I'm sure you talked about them. Now it's the Trump days. I don't see any of the people that were posting on Facebook talking about the fact that the numbers are still obtained the exact same way. We haven't changed the way that we figure out unemployment. These numbers Trump is awesome, that he's doing a great job, right? But how can it be both ways? I mean, how possibly can't the book still be cooked? How possibly can't the method still be flawed? Why don't we talk about people that are out of the workforce? To me, it's a huge double standard. It has to be a double standard. Think about what you've posted or what you've talked to your friends about. You got to look in the mirror sometimes. And this is something that I've been doing to myself a lot lately, because I think if we don't challenge ourselves, then we really can miss the big picture. Endless wars. All right? People are talking about wars today. In the Obama days, why are we expanding wars? Why aren't we bringing our troops home? Why are we fighting this long? Why? Why are we going into this country? Why? That's all we kept asking. That's all I kept asking. I have a lot of family that's in the military. People that were in, out, recalled back in. And one of them said to me, well, I got to go back because I got to hand this plot of land over to the next dictator or the next guy that's going to make women walk behind them. In the Trump days, no problem. No problem. We're about to enter another war. Where? Venezuela, if you weren't aware. We'll have U.S. troops in it probably in the next 100 days. Interesting, right? It's very interesting, but we bombed Syria. What did we bomb? We bombed an airfield, right? Planes took off from that airfield the very next day. The very next day, planes took off from that airfield. So why were we doing that? Why? Every time we use our military, we risk the lives of the incredible people that stand up to defend us. We should use it very cautiously, I would think. I hear nothing from the right about endless wars or bringing the troops home like I did 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. My issue is that we should be pissed off no matter what or who the president is when things don't go the way that we want. We can't have it both ways. We can't have it that we're really upset with Obama because he's bombing more countries than when he started. I've heard the quote, Bush started, Obama expanded, endless wars. I don't hear Bush started, Obama expanded, Trump continued, endless wars. We just don't hear it. North Korea is a real threat. Why wouldn't we be pulling our troops home and getting ourselves ready for what could be a real threat to the United States? You know, by the way, I always ask this question, how did our freedoms wind up on the other side of the world in the Middle East? And why do I have to send my son there to go get them back? Why are we, for lack of a better word, pussyfooting around in the Middle East? If we have a problem and we're in danger, let's take it out. We won World Wars I and II in less time than we're trying to find terrorists in the Middle East. You can't fight a politically correct war, and I don't want or expect anyone that joins the military to have to fight a politically correct war. War is what it is. That's what war is. You can't do it nicely. If we are really under threat, then you destroy the threat, and you bring those troops home. That would be my opinion. We were right when we said to end the wars, and we should be screaming it today no matter who's in the White House. Why does it matter who was in the White House? Audit the Fed, right? We just heard about that. Audit the Fed in the Obama's day, right? Audit the Fed was everywhere. It was all over Facebook. It was in memes. It was, I mean, you couldn't get away from it. And rightfully so. In the Trump days, when was the last time you read a post on Facebook about the Fed? Unless he posted it. Right?
Yeah.
The Fed is out of control. Why don't we demand that it's audited? Why? Why don't we just demand that it's audited? It needs to be audited because there is no checks and balances to the Fed.
It needs to be abolished.
No, it should be, but you won't get support to abolish it until you audit it. So where's the outrage? Prosecute Hillary, election time. Cornerstone of campaign got him the best ratings and the most play on social media when he said, because you'd be in jail. Right? People loved it. They wanted it bad. Post-election.
Crickets.
You got it. No one shows any outrage. I ask why. As I look through social media, I have dialogue with people all over the place. I see this on almost every issue. Everyone wants a leader. We're Americans. We don't need leaders. In fact, we need to lead the government. The government shouldn't be leading us. We lead the government. What I call Obamaites and trumpets. Not that you voted for Trump makes you a trumpet, and not because you supported Obama doesn't necessarily make you an Obamaite. These are folks that they just can't see any wrong in their man. None. They will never criticize their guy. You're in a box if you can't criticize your guy. They make excuses for missteps. They never call them out. It's like they're the same people. You remember the plate? They're the same. The ideology is the same. Support your guy. So, what happened is we started to worship politicians. Look at the comments on social media. Look at the comments all around you. A large group of people in the country blindly follow a party, or they follow a person. They allow issues to ebb and flow depending on who's in charge. Well, this guy's a Republican, so I'll give him a pass. This guy's a Democrat. He can't be good. Most in politics aren't. I would agree. The media, probably the number one culprit of double standards. They absolutely have an agenda. We have no real media in the United States of America. It is gone. Look at Breitbart. Breitbart, very pro-Trump, right? It was very pro-Trump. Bannon got in, it was 80% pro-Trump. Bannon's on the outs. 2 days later, the negative starts coming out of Breitbart. That's propaganda. That's not news. No one's really doing anything but pushing an agenda, and I mean all of them. And that includes Fox, and that includes everybody. But you can't see it inside the box. It's almost like you can't see the road when it crests a hill. You can only see so far. So it's expanding everywhere. In my opinion, media is dead, and we're just left with propaganda machines. So how do people get this way? How do they blindly follow? Well, it's a result of over and over narratives that are played out in the media and on social media constantly. If you agree with it, you worship one way. If you disagree, you simply worship the other way. If you believe in the New World Order, maybe many people here do. If you believe that there is a New World Order, or that there are entities that work to eliminate freedom, you're seeing the last battleground fought right now, because the rest of the world is pretty much conquered territory. So question what's up, all right? You are really on if you look in the mirror and you're blindly following. This is what leads to party loyalty. And our little discussion here. Why does it exist? Why are people so supportive of parties? Well, let's look at the parties and let's look at what they really stand for. Money is the objective. It's all about the money, right? So for the president in the last election, you include all candidates, and here's some money data. Democrats, $800 million plus. Republicans, $647.5 billion. All right, that's $1.5 billion pretty much combined. Power is the name of the game, and the price to buy it does not matter. A $1.5 billion proposition to be the president. How much does he get paid for the job? $400 grand. He gets $100,000 for travel, $50,000 for expenses. It's called a power grab. Power is worth more than money. Because once you have the power, you can control the money. Power has to come first. You can't control the money without the power. So wait a minute, how can it not matter, right? How? All right, well, you know what? Maybe kind of in a big picture, it really doesn't matter, and here's why. What are some of the hot issues of the day for a constitutionalist? You guys are all constitutionalists, right? You believe in the Constitution. What are some of your hot issues? What do you care about? What do you care about?
Second Amendment.
Second Amendment. What do you care about?
Free speech.
Free speech. It's all right, 2 for 2. What do you guys care about? Give me
Third
some.
Amendment.
What's that?
Oversized government.
Oversized government.
Third Amendment.
Okay, Third Amendment.
10th Amendment.
10th Amendment. All right, now we're getting into some nitty-gritty. I love it. How about immigration? How about helping veterans? How about term limits? How about states' rights? We could go on and on. So let's think for a minute about that list that we just talked about. All right? How long have you been fighting for these things?
Forever.
Okay. Who was the president when you first started to see there were issues that problems existed?
Harry Truman.
Okay. How many times have Republicans controlled the White House since then?
Franklin Roosevelt.
And how many times have Republicans controlled the House and the Senate? How many times have Democrat Party people controlled the White House since then? And how many times have they controlled the House and the Senate? You see where I'm headed with this. You're still fighting the same fight. It doesn't matter who's in office. It simply doesn't matter, or it hasn't yet.
With respect, the Republicans have only controlled all 3 branches of government for a total of 6 months in the last almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years. 6 months in almost 100 years. How many presidents have they had? How many executive orders could they have signed? How many Congresses did they control? How many Congresses did they control that passed unbalanced budgets? Have they come up with a way to, have they passed bills? Have they proposed bills that have failed? That's a great thing to look up that I won't get into now. Look up the bills that were never proposed. What about a 50-state license to carry? Who proposed that? It's never been voted on, that I know of. Never been voted on. Why? So, remember that the loyalty to parties and candidates makes a hard conversation for some, but let's be honest, in reality, what has changed? We have had Democrats, we have had Republicans, from national to local, and the government continues to grow, constitutionality continues to shrink. Our vets do not get the support that they need, which is disgusting in my opinion. When it comes to vets, they talk, we just saw a great health care bill get passed, which we're going to talk about, right, for vets. There should be no need for a bill. It's 2017. How about free health care for all vets? Go wherever you want, any medical industry, we foot the bill. How about that? Why didn't someone float that idea? In some cases, and in rare cases, they have, just like the bill I just talked about. But where have these parties really taken us? You have towns that are completely red in Massachusetts. I live in Northbridge. We have the lowest property tax in Blackstone Valley. A lot of residents are very proud of that. Some residents are really upset about that and want to raise them. They've tried many times and failed. What are the property taxes in red towns versus blue towns? Look it up. You're not going to like what you see if you think that the red ones are always lower, because they're not. Let's take the Senate race against Elizabeth Warren. The party has made a decision, right? Jeff Deal is going to be the candidate. With all due respect, who is the party? Why do they get to decide that Jeff is the man? Right? Well, because that's how party politics works. That's what we've allowed to have.
That's not true.
That's not true.
You don't
That's
think
not
so?
true.
No, there's 10
Absolutely.
candidates in the Republican.
There's 10 candidates in the party. So, let's look at this. Let's look at it. It's interesting. Where do you think, or where do you think, in your opinions, where do you think the money and infrastructure has already gone? Who's building websites for other candidates? Because the Republican Party is building websites for one candidate. Who's building infrastructure and grassroots money trains? The candidate is building, with the party, a machine. That's what happens. I'm sorry, I get it. I know it's hard to look at, right? But at the end of the day, Jeff's a great guy. He's on the right side of almost every single issue. Okay? He's a good guy.
You're wrong on this.
You're wrong.
The Massachusetts Party, the clique,
Yep.
okay, Weld, Baker, Romney, have just announced who the candidate will be.
Beth Lindstrom.
This is where I'm gonna tell you that this is how they make this work. This is how they make it work. So when they say that we're gonna support this person that they've had in the wings, do you really and truly honestly believe that if Jeff had caught fire, which he really didn't, that they would trot this person out? They want to win. I want to win. I want Elizabeth to be gone. I don't think that a way to get her gone is to elect somebody with an R next to their name that's really not an R. To me, not an R. Jeff's an R, okay? But there are other R's out there. This is a race that's going to take place in Massachusetts. And Trump lost in Mass by what, 1 million votes, I think? Was it 1 million votes? I think it was about 1 million votes that he lost by. So how does this person coming out and getting help from the Republican Party, why would they have spent a minute looking at somebody like that? It's going to be control. Well, you just brought up the person that they're going to be able to control even more than Jeff. Right? They're going to control that candidate 100%. Look at what Baker has done to the party in this state. I was a member of the Republican state town committee in my town. I resigned from it, but I was a member. And they were coming in on day one when we first reformed, trying to tell us why we had to go along with what Baker wanted to do within the party. This is party politics stuff. They trot these people out, they select people, and then if it doesn't play well, they're going to bring someone out. But the party's going to make that decision. No one in this room is going to make that decision.
Do we have super delegates now?
in the state? That's what I heard.
Yeah.
We
They're
do?
just doubling
That's
them.
just great.
They're just doubling them
Yes.
because that's the party.
Who can argue against the superdelegates?
This
No,
is
that's
what's
the
gonna,
thing.
this is what I mean, it's a consolidation of power.
Who chooses the presidents?
That's
Not
another whole
us.
speech, right?
We don't do that.
That's another whole speech, but I bring it up because it's controversial, because that's all you've heard, right? Social media, he's everywhere, he's all over the place, and now he doesn't get it. Why doesn't he get the nod? He's been putting in a lot of work,
And who are you talking about?
right? Jeff Deal, he's been putting in all kinds of work.
Jeff
He's-
Deal
he's-
is not
He's
part of
been
the
elected, right? He's in it. He's
But I
in it.
understand
Do
where
you
Gary's
understand
going
my point?
though. You have to understand where
You
Gary's
gotta open
going.
your mind to see it. That there's they put in effort into him very quietly. I know a lot of people that are on the inside of the party. They helped him on many things, gave him fundraising help. You know that as well as I know. So I think that we need to have more impact on who these people are that are running, and not, my point is, allow parties to decide who is going to run. The party shouldn't decide it as a bunch of people maybe our size in a room. This should be something that the people are polled on, if you want to have a party, if you will. See, I'm not a party politics kind of person. I just go person by person, issue by issue. So what's more important to the party, being able to control the candidate or win the race? I mean, you could see in the Republican Party, how disgusting was it how they treated Donald Trump. This guy was the front runner. This guy was the man. And the party fought him tooth and nail till the day he won the election. They weren't really behind him. Well, that always attracts me to a candidate. When the media hates him, all right, the party hates him, I'm in. Right off the bat, I'm in, all right? And I am favorable towards Trump. I just don't give him a pass on every little thing that he does. So, look at the NSA. Bush created it, right? Obama expanded it. It's a complete affront to our Constitution. Trump he's poised to use it more because he wants to keep you safe. He's talked about expanding it and using it in different ways. Bush started 2 wars. How many were we in when Obama left office? How many when Trump took over? How many today? How many tomorrow? We know where we're going. We can see where we're going. So where does it all lead us? Let's take a little bit of time and just talk about intent versus reality in America. The intent of America was to create a place where people could live free. That was the intent. That's why they found this place, right? Free from government overreach, the ability to live in a society with laws and rules, but no one overburdened by the laws and the rules, okay? So in America, we have roadblocks. Why do we have roadblocks? The courts ruled that you could have roadblocks, which means due cause doesn't exist in America. There is no due cause if you can stop me on the road and pull me over for no reason. No founding father would say that it's okay to stop a person to see if a crime has been committed. No way would any of them ever want to do that. Stop and frisk. No good, not constitutional. Property taxes as they are today. Someone said it earlier, you don't own your house. You own a house, you do not own a house. Nobody owns a house. The government owns that property and they'll take it back from you if you don't pay them their ransom. I made up a list of taxes. If anybody wanted to take a gander of it afterwards, you could. All right? It encompasses 3 pages, all right, of taxes that you pay. You went over a nice list as well. I'm not going to go over it. I don't have the time. I wouldn't keep you sitting there. But I just wanted to make the list to see it. And it's amazing. Between fees, fines, actual taxes coming out of your check, you're really screwed from the get-go. We need to stop this. You know that putting a tape over your cell phone can get you on an NSA watch list? That's listed. It's on the NSA website. You should really go check that out and see. You know, in my opinion, in 2017, if you're not on a list, are you really a patriot? Folks, it's scary stuff. You know, we're very far from intent. I'm not sure that we can get back to where we need to be, but we can't ever stop fighting to get there. Today in America, the government can declare you a danger. They can take you out of your house. They can remove you, arrest you, deny you legal help, phone calls, and contact with your family. No trial. Read the stuff on the NSA websites. It's really scary. So I just wanted to bring it all together and all the stuff that we've talked about tonight and link it to how far from the intent we are. So my simple advice to you in closing, if you want to see America change, leave the party system. It's nothing but a control mechanism. Don't be one. Just leave it. Just Go register as unenrolled. You can still vote however you want. Don't worship a politician. Don't be led by people. You don't need leaders. You're Americans. Americans lead. We don't follow. Don't blindly follow. I beg you. The Constitution is a rule book for government. No one in this room. It's a rule book for the government. The government doesn't grant you any rights. They're yours. The Constitution protects them from the government. We don't always have to all agree. But one thing we do have to always do is talk. So I thank you very much for the opportunity.